it feels like the rebel child of those two movies. Like it looks like its parents, but doesn't want to be its parents.
The Alien universe is such a big sandbox to play in. What specific element, scene, or scenario did you know from the very beginning that you had to include in your very own movie?
Well, I think kind of the privilege of making these films, in a way, it's that you get to see all the work of all these masters of the genre, from Ridley Scott to James Cameron to David Fincher, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. You get to see the experiments, the things they tried. I think, and looking back now, it's easier for me to look at what worked, what didn't, what aged well, what did not age well, etc. So it's a total, it makes it easier at some level to kind of cherry pick all the best ideas of those films, plus know what to add and where to experiment. So obviously there's the creature and his life cycle is what's the timeless idea that in the first movie is still as effective as it ever was, and now it allows to build on that, right? So I think we always knew that there was going to be face huggers and chest bursters and xenomorphs, but we knew that also we need to add more things. So hopefully the movie, as you know, takes you through all this path and then enters uncharted waters, which is when it really becomes truly fascinating for me as a filmmaker to really go and dare to try new things, right?
What's happening?
Something in the water.
What do you mean there's something in the water?
I don't know, there's just something in the water.
So now you have had first hand experience with face huggers. Can you talk to me about the challenge of honoring such an iconic monster and still bringing something new to the table?
I think it's really about the execution of a lot of these ideas. Some of these ideas you've seen before, but sometimes, obviously, you've seen before in movies that are 20 or 30 or 45 years old, and I think there's so much better techniques these days and new technologies. Actually, with the same philosophy of the original films, approaching everything from a practical effects standpoint when possible, and but these are not your the old school 80s, the 70s like animatronics. These are like 2024 like at top of the line animatronic technology that really creates things that I have never seen before, and I think people will be really blown away by these creatures on screen, right? So the challenge was to do it better. That's the challenge always, to do it better than before, right?
Fucking thing's hunting us.
Open the door, come on!
Run.
So the movie is set between the first and the second Alien movie. What were your thoughts behind that choice?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that it looked like those first two movies. So it meant, we have to do it as almost like you do it when you do a period movie, right? You want to make sure you nail the period right. So we thought it makes sense, obviously, if you want to look like that and have that retrofuturistic aesthetic now, like it needed to fit between those two films. And also for the story we're telling, it makes sense that it happens a few years after the first story. But at the end of the day, the exercise was to take Alien and Aliens, combine them in a way, look through them and see what comes out of that, and that's Alien Romulus, right? It's like what I realized watching it last night, it feels like the rebel child of those two movies. Like it looks like its parents, but doesn't want to be its parents. It wants to be his own man. So that's exactly, I think, like what happens with the film.